The 8 hours of sleep rule is based on zero evidence. In this episode, we talk about how much sleep you actually need according to research, whether it's better to be humble or hype yourself up to others, and our guru of the week, who's an all-time classic.
He's a famous YouTuber.
Put in your seatbelts, let's get into it. We've all been told that we need 8 hours of sleep a night. What if that's not true? Who made that up?
Jesus?
That's right. It's the 11th commandment that nobody talks about.
Yeah.
So apparently this guy was like, the 8 hours of sleep rule is based on zero evidence. And ancient humans actually slept in two distinct phases where we have two sleep cycles. And Brian Johnson chimed in. And there's no evidence that 8 hours of sleep is the rule, but there's a ridiculous amount of evidence that 7 hours is. The overwhelming amount of sleep research shows a U or J-shaped curve with sleep and lifespan, with the sweet spot being consistently 7 hours of sleep. Too little sleep is 35% increase in all-cause mortality, while too much equates to 50% increase.
Jeez.
Too much sleep. There appears to be a sweet spot of 7 hours, which might flex closer to 8 hours, the more active you are. So this whole time, I've been trying to get 8 hours of sleep. And I'm like, what's wrong with me? And I feel good with 7.5. And I go to bed too early so many times, and then I lay awake trying to get 8 hours because I'm calculating, okay, if I go to bed at this time, I have to wake up at this time, you know?
I can imagine you in bed just being like...
Dude, but doesn't everyone do that?
Dude, you're like, I love you. But I feel like you're so anal in some things, and it just like blows my mind. Like this is really what's happening. This is what's keeping you up at night. And I think that's like just paradoxically hilarious.
It is. It is hilarious. I agree. Well, here's the thing. I think a lot of people do that where, okay, I get up at 6, therefore I should be asleep by 11 to get my, I should be asleep by 10. If I get up at 6, be asleep by 10, that's 8 hours.
Okay.
So let me go to bed by 9:30, so I'm falling asleep on time. I get 8 hours. I think it's fairly normal, and it's not healthy. That's also how you develop a bad relationship with sleep, and therefore insomnia or sleep problems. When you go to bed too early, and you give your body a bigger window than it needs, you're training your brain, or you're training your body, and your mind that it takes me this long to fall asleep. And you just lay awake in bed. One of the best things you can do for insomnia is actually tightening the window. So if you struggle to fall asleep, if it takes you an hour to fall asleep, and you only get 6 hours of sleep, then tighten the window. Okay? Like to the point where if you get up at 6 a.m., go to bed at 1 a.m. And then if you still struggle to fall asleep, go to bed at 2 a.m. Until you get so tired and so drained that your body just knocks out. And then you can slowly increase the window again. And so reading this, I'm like, man, this is potentially causing me a lot of sleep, a lot of stress, because I'm like, I think I need more time than I actually
What time do you go to sleep usually?
It's been so up and down because of the volunteering work that I've been doing and just like events, and then, but ideal is I get up at 7 a.m.
Every day?
That would be ideal. That's if I could choose and I didn't have social events disrupting that would be ideal.
That's interesting because I usually go to sleep around like 1 in the morning and I wake up at 9.
You go to a lot of social events.
Yeah. Like 9, I don't wake up anything past 9. 9 is like my, like that's the thing I can't, like it's just, even when I go to sleep early, I wake up at 9.
Yeah. I think this honestly is just such a, like everyone talks about this, but is it really true? Right? And like this whole time, might not be true. And different people need different amounts of sleep, is what I've always believed. And this guy chimed in, there are gene mutations allowing something like 25% of people to only need 6 hours of sleep, while the other 75% benefit from 8 hours of sleep. I remember reading this years back and being very jealous of the people who can get by with 6 hours. A notable research study that aligns with your requests was conducted by and her team at the University of California, San Francisco. DEC2 gene, also known as something that allows some
You just like brush it up.
I'm tired. I didn't get enough sleep.
How much? You actually got too much sleep.
I think I actually got too much sleep. I'm really tired. I think I actually did because I got too little sleep throughout the week doing the volunteering work, and then this weekend too much. I slept through 2 alarms.
Jesus, that's wild.
That allows some individuals to function optimally on approximately 6 hours of sleep per night, while most people require around 8 hours to feel fully rested. Fascinating.
That's pretty cool.
And I think I can get away with less than a lot of people that I know. And that's where also people compare the Oura Ring scores, right? And people are like, why can't I get the great scores, right? I had like a friend of mine who I used to live with, like he would get like the craziest scores and he would sleep very long. And then, you know, he was like the sleep master and like, whoa, like we got to learn from him, you know. I think so much of that is just genetics too. Yeah,
dude, I can't for the life of me get 90.
Yeah.
The most I've ever gone, I think, was 84 or 85.
Yeah, I mean, the algorithms, the ring doesn't measure your genetic requirements for sleep, right? So
I feel like, dude, honestly, remember that conversation we had, I think a lot of the issues I was having with sleep were just mental issues around, like, you know, stress. But like personal life. Because once that was situated, bro, got my sleep back.
Yeah.
So it really wasn't, I don't know, I made a big deal out of it, but it's like the reality is that if I just fixed this specific part of my life, now, I mean, I'm back. And I still get like about 6.5 hours to maybe like 7 and 8.
Yeah.
Everything's solid.
Yeah. As long as you feel good, I think that's the biggest indicator. There's also plenty of people who say their sleep is really good because they fall asleep and they stay asleep, but they wake up tired and drained, and then throughout the day they're tired and drained. And it's like, maybe your sleep isn't that great.
It's mental.
Right? Or even just, I mean, the quality of sleep while they're asleep.
Yeah.
So something to think about. If you're going to bed too early and you're calculating like an idiot at night, maybe you can tighten that window a little bit.
Dude, I don't know about you, but I usually meditate before I go to sleep. Like I listen to like binaural beats or maybe sometimes guided meditations, and I will calm my mind down before I go to sleep. And I usually find that's the best way to fall asleep for me, because it relaxes the mind. And it allows me to actually, because I feel like there was one thing that somebody taught me a long time ago on how to like increase your memory. He was like, basically, before you go to sleep, play the day backwards. Like play it backwards from what happened and then play it backward to the morning. And if you do it consistently, you're actually going to enhance your memory, which is really interesting. But it also like, once you kind of like clear the baggage with what's happened, because when you're dreaming, your brain is just compartmentalizing everything that happened throughout the day. So if you had a really stressful day, it just basically, you're still thinking about it in your sleep. So if you can kind of like compartmentalize it awake and you can calm your mind down, you can actually have a better restful sleep throughout the evening. Does that kind of make sense? It's kind of like Inside Out, you know, and we make jokes about Inside, like you ever see Inside Out? Dude, it's so spot on.
Yeah. I remember doing that as well at some point, but I forgot.
Yeah, same here. I did it for like 2 weeks, and I was like, oh, this is too long. I had a long day, and I'm tired.
Same goes with drinking water. How much water do you need to drink a day? What does the science say?
They say like a gallon.
There's no evidence.
You just drink. Dude.
Brian Johnson was talking about this. There's no hard evidence you need this amount of water. And I mean, I see people, friends and just people in my life who I never see them drinking anything, and they should be really dehydrated, but they're not. And then there's people who are like, oh, I'm trying to get my gallon in, my 3 liters, whatever it is, and they just like sipping on water throughout the day, like every once in a while, which I just also think is not natural. It's not how we evolved. We didn't have a container. We didn't have a bottle. So when we went to drink something, we would go to the river and then drink a ton, and then we wouldn't have access to water until we got back there. But we wouldn't take like these small sips of like, you know. So yeah, it's one of these things that I think so many people have on their goal list. It's like whenever you download a habit app, it's always the number one example, like drink more water, you know. But like, do you really need to drink more water?
So then what are all these like myths based on? Somebody did one study and basically said, oh, this person got results from drinking more water.
I don't know.
I read this book and I cannot remember what book it is. I don't want to misquote, But basically, it was saying that there was a study done, and I was so fascinated by this, where they basically hypnotized or primed the person to believe that a hot dog had the same intrinsic nutrition and value that a salad had. And then a salad had the same intrinsic value that a hot dog had. And it was a corn dog. It was a corn dog and a salad.
Wow, yeah.
And they basically fed the person corn dogs and they fed the other person salad. And what the reality is, because the man believed that the intrinsic value and nutrition you get from corn dogs was healthy, he actually got healthier eating corn dogs, and then actually got, I think, high cholesterol eating a salad. Which is interesting because it's what they basically conditioned and primed him to believe. Which again, I don't recall because I forgot the book. I read it in a book. It was one of those like mind over matter books.
Oh, maybe something like You Are the Placebo.
Something I'm convinced it was like Joe Dispenza, but I don't want to say it because I don't want to.
It's probably that.
But it was interesting because the reality is like if your mind believes it. I have no evidence to back it up. I don't want to sit here and talk about the stuff like. Yeah, I've proven it. But I've been able to get away with a lot of things because my mind believed it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I know friends who into all the biohacking and health stuff, and they struggle with health issues, you know? And so I think they have this mindset that they have to be perfect. Same thing with me and my relationship with sleep. Like, I think it is genetics that some people just have an easier time falling asleep, but at the same time, it should be natural for me to just be.
But don't you think that adds levels of stress to your lacking of sleep? The stress, I think, is the one costing you sleep.
The stress about the sleep.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I shouldn't have that. That's not natural. It's also a mindset thing where it's a story I'm telling myself that I'm not someone who falls asleep easily. Yeah, I think and you can apply it to anything. This whole, whatever you believe to be true is true, right? Whether it's the teledipity app and you believe in it and then you see it,
it's true.
Or even what I see is people's self-belief in how good they are at things. One of the best ways to become a faster learner is by just believing that you're good at the thing. Just believing I'm naturally good at learning things. I'm good at this new thing that I'm learning, and then boom, you pick it up. Like for example, with math tests, they would, like if you, specifically with girls, they seem to be more susceptible. If you told girls, hey, you're not that good at math, they just got worse grades in math. Because I think you just question yourself a lot, right? Like you have an idea, I'm like, I think I need to solve it this way, but you're like, oh no, that can't be right because I'm bad. And so you short circuit these thoughts and you don't go further down the rabbit hole and you give up sooner where you're just like, oh, I don't know what to do here. But it's like, no, you were actually on the right track, but you don't believe in yourself. So yeah, we don't know how much to sleep. We don't know how much to drink, and everything's up for debate.
Well, I can't drink, so I'm fasting.
How's that going? Religious.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not as religious, but I think it's cultural at this point.
Yeah.
Because, you know what I mean? It's kind of like one of those things where even though I'm not religious, I don't eat pork. But I just grew up hating pork because my family would send me Facebook videos every week being like, pork has this, and this, and this. And it just kind of got like ingrained in me that I'm just repulsed by pork.
Yeah.
You get what I mean? But it's not like I don't do it for a religious reason. I'm just like, I'm just disgusted by it.
So what's the fasting? You eat in the morning?
Yep. Sunset to sunrise. So no. Sunrise to sunset, you fast. Oh. And then I can eat from sunset to sunrise.
Gotcha. So it's like 12 hours?
Yeah, about from like 7, because right now we're breaking fast around like 7:45-ish. So 7:45 till about 5 in the morning or 4 in the morning.
Nice. Cool.
Yeah, dude, it's definitely interesting. I will tell you one thing. I feel a lot better. I feel more focused. Mm-hmm. And my body's getting ready for the summer. I know I told you I was starting to work out again, and I'm definitely, body's getting better, and it's been good. I just feel more refreshed and rejuvenated.
Nice. So yesterday I went to an event, a Mastermind event. I walked in and you were already sitting there.
Yes, sir.
You're already sitting there. I also invited a couple of my friends, 3 of my friends, and they were there, and Man, what a waste of time that thing was.
Jesus.
Wasn't it?
There were some good parts.
It was put together by a friend of ours, so we don't want to throw him under the bus and the company, but it was clearly a sales pitch event where you just go there because they have a mastermind and they pitch you the thing. But it was sold as this thing where you learn how to hire, you learn how to. And I just didn't want to sit down for any of the talks. It was all just about how important it is to be around the right people. I'm just yeah, I know. What are we doing here? And man, what a waste of time. I hate those events. Tell me about the worst events that you've been to.
Oh, dude.
Or worst experiences, funny experiences that you've had.
Dude, I've had a lot of those, man. I don't trust events specifically for that reason.
It's funny isn't that what you do for work?
100%.
You go on stage and you sell stuff.
Well, here's the thing. Because I know how much I hate them, I try to give as much value as possible. Where even if I try to sell you, I'm still gonna give you something to walk away from. Like for me, when I sell from stage, I still genuinely give a script that I paid $30,000 to learn, and I give it to people. So generally, if you're walking out, whether you buy or not, I believe in the whole I'm gonna over deliver so much that you just think this is just a taste, and then you want to work with me. It's been working for me so far.
Yeah.
But I don't believe in the whole I don't like gatekeeping. I hate gatekeeping. When somebody gives you a little bit taste, and then they prime this whole entire result they're gonna give you, and then they just get you to the end and they don't give it to you. You're well, I came here for that specific result. If anything, you should have gave me that result and then told me there's something better after this result. But I need this result to get that next thing that's better. But guess what? To get that thing that's better, you have to work with me. I think it's a different way to prime it.
Absolutely.
I think here's the thing.
Here's the thing. It was a paid event. It was $300. I paid $300 to show up there and be pitched. And then there was some other filler speakers that they had things to say, but I've already heard all that stuff. Add play to your life. Mindsets. This just man.
If it was a free event, would you have not been as annoyed?
Yeah, I would have easily just walked out.
No.
But the fact that it's paid and I'm getting pitched is what the. Do you guys really think this is valuable? You tricking me to think that this is value? And then I see all these people who are literally 7 or 8 figure business owners who are taking notes. I'm you guys are idiots. What are you guys doing here?
I will say,
what are you guys doing here? And it's all this circle jerk of coaches and branding and people and just they're all just doing business with each other. It's just I don't know what's going on. What are we doing here, guys?
I personally I liked yesterday's event specifically for. Well, here's the thing. If I wouldn't have paid personally.
The buffet was good. Well, I didn't know that it was
good, but I couldn't even eat it.
Yeah.
So let's not talk about that.
I didn't know it was about that. Had I known, I wouldn't have gone. I wouldn't have invited my friends. At least I went to the back and did some work. I'd co-worked. I didn't waste my time there.
I had no idea you were going. I would have told you.
Yeah.
When it comes to events, bro, just reach out to me. I'll let you know what's good and what's not. No, because here's the thing. And again, because we were discussing that event on how to pitch it. But then they switched the whole entire way of how they were going to do it. So the whole event, and that's why I think for me, what I was confused about was because I thought it was a half-day event, and it wasn't going to make sense because of the way the format, how it was set up. Because I was asking, where are the pitches? Are you going to do soft pitches, or are you going to do one final pitch at the end? So then they kind of, I guess, switched it up based on some of the questions that I asked. I don't know. It was just...
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. I didn't come there for the speeches. I think anyone who goes to an event for the speeches is you're wasting your time. You can just watch it on YouTube because it usually just gets uploaded. Or the speaker has already talked about it 10 times and you can watch it online. You can watch it on double speed. I only go to events to meet people.
Yeah. To
hang out. Because if I meet one cool relationship or make one friend, then worth it. 10 times over. But nobody was doing that. Everyone was sitting there. And
well, that was for me valuable because I think I met that guy, one of the speakers, and we were supposed to meet a long time ago, and it finally happened yesterday. So for me, that was already worth it. That specific connection that happened yesterday made it all worthwhile, and that's the reason why I stayed up that whole entire day. And I think I met another person as well. I met 3 people that I knew, but we really connected yesterday. So I think that's why it was for me. It was all right, worth it. It wasn't a complete waste of my time. And also, I'm not gonna lie to you. I actually really liked the activity, the first activity. I think you weren't there for that one, but there was an activity where they basically you rate your business people and friends based on actual values, I low-key want to do that and actually cut friends out that don't fit those values. Because I've never thought of it from that perspective.
Yeah.
I thought that was like an interesting thing. And then I think when you left, I don't know who he is.
Now we're basically revealing what the company is, but
Yeah, can we bleep this out?
it's too late now.
Yeah, I forgot. But yeah, I forgot. I wanted to mention, but he basically came up. If you can bleep this.
Okay.
So we can.
Editor,
bleep this, please. But basically, that person got up there and he gave some of the things. He actually gave some very good insight on hiring that I feel like you would have benefited from. But it was so niche, and it was like 20 minutes. But I you know what I mean, like
what were they given to me?
About the kind of hiring process in terms of like getting A players, but you have to like see specific characteristics in the A players. And I'll be honest with you, I wrote it down. I forgot. It wasn't. I kind of like spaced out, but I just thought of you because you talk about hiring A players and what he did. So if somebody couldn't like get to a level of skill that he was looking for, he would have to then hire somebody to manage this person at the level of skill.
Yeah.
And then keep lifting because it's like everybody's a threshold. So you find people that have a skill set to get to 100,000. Then you find people that have a skill set to get to 1 million. Then you have a skill set to 8 figures or 10 million, then 50 million. So like once that person gets to the level of like 1 million, you're like, all right, cool. He's stuck at 1 million. Now I have to hire somebody that's 10 million to now watch over the 1 million, bring him up, then vice versa. Which I thought was actually a very good like shift in terms of like how I thought about problems around hiring. I'm like, all right, cool. And you basically kind of rank your employee skills in terms of what are they capable of. Some might be capable of more, but the reality is everybody has a threshold. You know what I'm talking about? Not to be like an asshole, but like...
Of course. A threshold of skills and
Yeah.
hunger and all of those things. Yeah.
And he was talking about how like once they hit 30 to 40, that's when it becomes even more difficult because at that point, the person is primed in their ways. So unless they've made significant changes in the 20s, like, and I'm sitting here and I'm like, yo, what?
All these things you're not allowed to do with hiring legally. You're not allowed to like look for certain ages, and at the same time,
Yeah. But that's what I'm saying. So it's like for me, like I don't think like I see what you mean, but I also didn't pay. So it's also
matter.
there's a different.
It wasn't much.
Yeah,
I got to hang out with my friends.
that's a percent. So I'm trying because I hate stuff like that, but I was trying to make the most out of it and be as positive as possible. So I'm like, all right, I'm stuck here. I need to like milk it.
Yeah.
Somehow, some way, I need to figure out a reason to like make the most out of it. So that was the thing. So I had a.
It's just so funny how cringy a lot of these events are, where it's like everyone's using all the buzzwords, all of them.
Yeah.
And nobody can just like, I don't know, let's just have fun. Let's just be normal people here. Like just.
I wish we chilled more. Like I wish there was like more breaks for like us to network with that room. And it wasn't until the end of the event. I think lunch was great because we actually got to talk to people.
Yeah.
I think that was a good part.
Honestly the best thing. So there's an event called Baby Bathwater.
I heard a lot about that.
The idea is they're throwing out the bathwater without the baby. So they keep all the good stuff and all the bad stuff about events they throw out. And it's basically they rent out an island in Croatia and then they just have fun. And they just like they select people based on is the vibe good and do they have something cool to share. But you don't have to like make this amount of money and all that, right? And they just party and have fun. And then they hang out. And then there's like mini workshops. Anyone who wants to give a mini workshop, cool. You don't have to be in there. You can, but like hang out, connect. And that's how I would do it.
And they don't do business or they don't do date. You can't date in the program or you can't do business with each other.
Great.
That's one of the big things they talked about because they don't want girls to come in there feeling unsafe. That's one of their biggest priorities.
Oh,
where
yeah.
There's no dating in here and you don't do business with each other.
Yeah, I would
unless something comes
too.
up and you're both consensually like I really want this to work out, whatever, and then you can like figure something out. But it's super like,
yeah,
it can't be in their space, which I think is super interesting. Dude, I have so many friends, like high level entrepreneurs in Baby Bathwater. Like a lot. Yeah. I'm surprised. I keep hearing it all the time, and everybody that I hear from, I like respect. So I'm like, that's something that I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm intrigued.
Yeah.
I would definitely want to consider something like that because it sounds pretty epic.
It is. I think it is. Also, I'm hiring for this podcast. So there's going to be open positions, in the description below if you check that out. Right now, I'm looking for someone to help me with the clips channel, like some YouTube. Someone who's obsessed with YouTube and wants to learn from me and collaborate with me on the clips channel. I'm looking for a right-hand person, like someone who runs the operations and builds the business and turns this into a machine that pumps out stuff and helps us grow. And also, if you just want to join, get on the bus, and even though I don't have a seat for you yet, you just want to get on, there's also a form where you can just fill out how you could join if you wanted to. So links below. I'm also linking questions and submissions. There's a form if you have a topic that you'd like us to talk about, or you have a question, you can fill that out as well. And we're now at, guess how many subscribers?
700 something.
730. Ooh, sick. 10 videos, 730.
That's crazy, bro.
Yeah, very little promo so far. I think once we start posting clips, I like the new thumbnail style that we're going with now. We're going on a single topic that we're focusing on instead of having like these multiple topics like left and right picture. I think it's good to do that. And this is feedback I got from my YouTube buddies, because I have a little mastermind that I put together with friends. And this is going into much better direction. And on Saturday, unless things change, we're going to fly out to meet Chase Hughes and have him as a guest on the pod. It's going to be fun. What's that?
With us? Or is you going to have another episode with him?
Another episode, yeah. But in this format, on this channel.
Okay, fun.
Yeah, it's going to be great. He lives pretty far out. He's a bit isolated. But he's got a big property. He's got guns. He's got really cool like movie props that he owns.
Love
from
that.
Back to the Future, from
when are you flying out?
Interstellar. Either Friday or Saturday. We'll see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's definitely talk about that after. I forgot about this.
Absolutely. Dude, there's one discussion that we got into, which is you said my weak point is how would you describe it? I'm not promoting myself enough. I'm not selling myself enough.
Can I say it the way I said it yesterday?
Yeah.
I think you fucking suck at selling yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you just. I think for everything you've built out, I think you can pitch yourself in a very different way, and I think you're so afraid of like being perceived as arrogant, that I think it hinders you from actually letting people see how great you are, or how great your accomplishments are.
Yeah.
I think I am phenomenal at that.
Yeah. I think you're arrogant.
That's fine. I'll take it.
And I think it has pros and cons.
Okay, let's talk about
both of our sides. Right?
I can agree.
Yeah. Because here's the thing. I don't sell myself well in the moment. And what I consistently experience is that when people look up stuff about me, they're like, holy shit, like this is really great. And it gives it a different feeling. Like and I've seen the other side oftentimes where I'm meeting entrepreneurs who are like hyping themselves up like crazy, and the more I get to know them, the more I'm like, oh. And I'm not saying you're one of them, by the way. But I've seen it again and again where I'm like, he's one of those people. And I've noticed that as a pattern now, where when I hear someone hyping themselves up a lot, I'm like, he might be one of those people.
And you see, it's the balance. And that's what we talked about yesterday. Something specific. So for me, it's funny because I've actually like, you know how you test with like biohacking, and for me, I test in human behavior. Like what works, what doesn't, storytelling, how you deliver something. And one of the interesting things that I've like discovered is like when I hype myself up, I do it in a way that allows me to take a step back and let the person ask me the questions so I can hype myself up through the questions that they're asking me. But I bait them into asking me those questions.
Yeah. You give them little nuggets where they're like, wait, tell me more about that.
Exactly. So for instance, if somebody comes to me and asks me, what have you done? Oh, like, what do you do for work? I'll usually either make a joke. I'm like, oh, I'm an international stripper. And that is like something where I'm not going to tell you what I do. And then once we've gone over the past the joke, and depending on how you relate to that, will show me, all right, can I actually have a conversation with you, or is it going to be a boring conversation? We get past that level. Then like, oh, so like, I mean, what do you do? I'm like, well, I mean, I train sales teams. Okay, like what kind of sales teams? I mean, you know.
This is what I would say. I do YouTube. Like, oh, what do you mean? Like, I'm like, oh, I have a YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Oh, what do you talk about? I'll talk about this and that, and then that's when I yesterday, because you told me that, I was like, okay, let me like sell those videos. Like, oh, I did a video where I trained with Navy SEALs. I did a video where
So much better.
Yeah. But I'm already doing that, and I have been doing that. But I wouldn't like. How would you? I cut you off. Finish what you were saying. You basically bait them.
Well, I think, like, what do you do? Like, what kind of sales teams? Oh my God! I mean, have you heard of Tony Robbins? So yeah, I've trained Tony Robbins' sales team, Grant Cardone, Jay Shetty's, just like that. And then I'll stop talking about it. I planted it. I showed you my value. Let's change the subject. Let's talk about something else. At this point, it's like, respect me, but I don't want to talk about it, which creates even more curiosity in them, because now they actually want to know what happens and how you go about it.
Like fake humility.
100%.
It's so funny because multiple times on this podcast you said how humble you are. It's like, is that what you were running?
No, because here's the thing, dude. I like, to be great, you have to have a level of arrogance within your head. Like, I believe that I
have it in my head too.
Yeah, so like in my head, like, I truly believe I'm one of the best in the world at what I do, to the core. I'm not gonna go and tell people that. And if they want to figure out and they want to like talk about it, yeah, amazing. Let's do it. But the reality is, I'm not sitting here to like, because before I would be arrogant and I would say things and I would push people away. Compared to now, where I'm at, I've built some of the best relationships. You know what I mean? I have extremely good connections. People feel comfortable enough to open up to me. And the only people that see me as arrogant are the ones that really hang out with me all the time, where I don't have to put a filter and I can just be like, yo, I'm the shit. And this is why. But to the world, I don't have to. And also another big thing that I realize is, like, arrogance is only like, it's only bad when you're bringing people down in the process. If you're not bringing people down in the process, it comes off as confidence. Like, I'm not going to say something to bring you down. I'm going to say, yeah, I'm great in this thing, and you are also great in your own thing. I'm confident in what I'm bringing to the table. But if I was like, yeah, I'm really good at this. I mean, you're kind of decent, but you're not, like, you could be better.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I'm now I'm being arrogant. I'm trying to put you down to make myself feel better about myself. That's just kind of my take.
Yeah. How would you pitch me?
What is the highest, like, what is your biggest accolade?
So I think on the old channel, all-time views, long-form views is 50 million views. And if you take away the podcast, where I was dabbling with podcasts, it was like 50 videos. So it could be like average million views per video. But there's like big gaps. Like some videos have like 7 million, another video has like 50,000, right? So that could be a way, but even 50 million views means nothing nowadays because of...
Nope, I disagree.
Hold up. Because of shorts. There are so many people that are invited to speak at events because they had 1 billion views, and it's like, and I'm like, oh cool, who are they? Never heard of them. Oh, there's some TikTok couple that makes these fake prank videos, and they're invited over me because I have 50 million views, they have 1 billion, and it's like shorts views, and nobody's ever heard of them, nobody cares about them.
I think they packaged it better. I think you have over 100. You have over 100 million views on all your social media. I'm assuming, or not.
Yeah. If you add Facebook and Snapchat and stuff like that, yeah.
That's how you pitch it. But this is what
But how do you say that in a conversation?
Well, we're having a conversation.
100 million views.
No, but here's the thing. You see how you're making it sound like it's you're underplaying your own accolades. That's the biggest difference. When something happens, I'm letting everybody know what fucking happened.
Yeah. So,
dude, you reached the pinnacle.
Then I wouldn't focus. I haven't.
But here's the thing. You don't believe that. But the reality is, getting 100,000 subscribers on YouTube is a fucking difficult feat. Getting 100 million views.
Yeah, but it's not the pinnacle.
It's not. But it's up there. You're in the top 1% of YouTubers in the world. Mm. And then once you get to 1 million, you're getting top 0 point something percent YouTubers, and you're already close to that. And I think that's the biggest problem, where you don't perceive it as that. You have a high standard. You have a high standard. Your standard for success is extremely high. But there comes a point where it's just like, you have to compare yourself also to the masses. Not you, but the skill.
I don't.
But why? The masses don't do the shit that you're doing.
Yeah, they don't. They play I play a different game. I've been doing this full time for 5 years.
That's yourself right there. I'm a full-time YouTuber. Full-time, yeah.
Yeah, great.
People, you hearing, yeah, I'm a full-time YouTuber. You know?
I don't know. I think you have to see one of my videos to know what I'm talking about, to actually get it.
But it's not about getting it. It's about your status. I don't care if I watch your videos or not. You have a brand.
I don't know. Is it really about status? Because I think you attract certain people that way.
I disagree. I've attracted great people with brand and status. Doesn't really matter. Yeah, but it's your choice to differentiate which one is good and which one is not. Who do you want to keep, or who don't you want to keep?
I think the best thing I can do, honestly, when I introduce myself is like, here's my channel. This is what
That's
I do.
a little arrogant.
Huh?
That's arrogant.
Why? It's just like, oh, I do YouTube. Here's like, here, I'll
Yeah,
show
no.
you
It's
this.
but again, it's about it. I don't like that. I'm like, who do you think you are? There has to be a different way.
No, when they ask me, I'm like, YouTube. They're like, oh, what do you do? I was like, oh, let me show you.
I'd make a joke and be like, yo, I make videos that grab a lot of people's attention.
No, I wouldn't say that. That's,
Why? I'm like, yeah,
That's
I
so
make videos for fun that make me money. Play with it.
it should be
And
obvious.
like, well, what do you mean by that? Oh, I mean, I have a pretty big YouTube channel in the space, in the entrepreneurship space. But I did.
I don't know. It doesn't feel congruent to me.
Well, I mean, learn. I mean,
Like I have a pretty big channel on.
but it's about. I mean, well, it's all about experimenting. What worked and what didn't. Again, me finding
Yeah.
out that thought pattern didn't like come out right away.
Yeah.
Just keep pitching yourself in different ways.
There's a better pitch out there, and at the same time, I don't really care that much.
You do,
But
though.
I don't. I got your feedback, but I'm like, I don't care what these people think.
I would respectfully disagree. Because if you didn't care, this wouldn't be a thought in your head.
We just had a discussion about it, and I think it'd be interesting.
Fair enough.
You know, I like the way I introduce myself. I think, yeah, I could do it better, but I don't really care. And I'm pushing back to you that I think people are very sensitive to like any amount of like arrogance or like bragging, and I think you do it really well. So I'm not saying you do that. And I think I've seen people who are salespeople,
It's annoying.
who are not as experienced as you are. They just hype themselves up and they sell themselves well. And over time, I think it's just it just hurts them because people are like, oh yeah, he's cool, but like, and then anything they say after that loses meaning. It's almost like someone who gives out compliments to everyone all the time, or like, you know, like when you see a mom that like praises her child for every little like wipe when they wipe their ass, you know, it's just like, wow, oh my god, wow, and it's like nothing means anything. And then you have the dad who's like never praises anything, but when dad says you did good, you're like,
I feel it.
you know.
I feel it.
So I wonder if that happens, and I'm careful with that, you know.
How does that correlate to somebody selling themselves?
If they oversell themselves, and you look at them, they're like, oh, yes, they did those things, but like they weren't the only one, or you know, there were like other people involved, and they took way too much credit than they should have. Anything they say after that is like, you said that about the other thing, so I don't know, you know.
I'm having a hard time understanding the correlation. Like, I know what you
They
mean.
oversell themselves, so the next time they take credit for something or oversell themselves, or say they're really good at something, they're like, meh, he said that last time too. And
But the last time, that's what part I'm getting confused on. Like the last time, like what do you mean by last time? 'Cause
when
I'm
he
saying-
introduced himself, or when you know, he
now
offered
I
to,
see what you mean. So if you use this play with two people that you already met and they used it on somebody else, you'd be like, he said that all the time.
No, if I meet a person and he's introducing himself as like the number one guy in this space with the best channel in this, you know, and I look at the channel, I'm like, it's all right. The next time he's like, oh, we should we should do a video together. Like, I think this could get like millions of views. I'm like, I don't know. You already said your channel was the best and it's not that great, you know? So the next time he makes a prediction or sells himself or whatever, or hypes himself up, I'm like, you know? Yeah. And I usually shy away from people who oversell themselves. If you do it tactfully, like I would say you do it, right? Where you sneak it in and it still looks humble. And it's like,
I love how everybody's watching this thing and be like, damn, now I'm never gonna guys, when we make it this far, you'll know more and more about me as the podcast continues. But I'm just outing myself.
yeah. Well, here's the thing. I don't want to.
I'm outing myself. I'll be honest, guys. I want you guys to know the sauce.
And here's the thing. I could learn it. I just don't see the value in it.
I think
Like I know influence on video. Like when I posted a hiring video recently, I hyped myself up like crazy because there's a reason for it. I needed to hype myself up by saying, hey, listen, I've done all these types of videos in different buckets, different formats, whether it's talking head, whether it's interview style, whether it's mini documentaries, all of them got millions of views. And I'm telling you all of this because I know a thing or two about this. And my prediction is this podcast is going to be very successful and you should join, so there's a purpose behind it, right? I can hype myself up if I see the reason for it. If it's like, oh, clearly, like this is a value add to people. It's important.
When this podcast channel gets like 50 to 100K views or 100K subscribers, I'm gonna pitch it in my own way, and I'm gonna master the pitch for this, and I'm gonna milk the out of this, because I'm gonna honestly. Because it's funny because dude, it's like wild how like the universe throws the same thing at you consistently, because you remind me of one of my best friends growing up, and you met him, Dave, the one who has almost the same amount of subscribers as you. He has like, you know what I mean?
730?
Yeah, well he is about 700, 400. But and your main channel, and dude, I would always tell him, and it wasn't until last year that he started pitching himself. And he started getting more opportunities, and I'm like, bro, you're so humble. It's all you YouTubers. I don't know why, because there's some arrogant YouTubers, but the ones I find are all like just humble. Like,
but it's also the cliche that like, oh, you're famous. Like the moment you put that out there a little bit, people are like, ugh. It's like almost like imagine you're a famous singer, and you're like, yeah, I'm a lot of people know me. Like, ugh. So it's different. I think
if you could make it fun, I have a few fans. And then, like, if you say, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, I make videos and make money.
But that's how I do it. I'm like, yeah, people like my videos. Yeah. I'm not saying, like, people all around the world. It's like, it's like different.
So everybody watching, I'm the one who usually brags for him. I'm like, yeah, he's famous. I always, like, hype him up, like, yeah, he's famous. He's just being humble.
The first thing he tells people is, oh, Leon is famous.
He's like, oh, stop. No, he's famous.
No, but I'm serious. It's...
That's how it works. That's our thing. That's
I'm actually uncomfortable with it.
I know. It makes it so much better. I'm letting the audience know he gets so uncomfortable, and I love it. But it's also like, here's the thing. Also, when I promote my friends, there's no way in hell I'm going to let people think that I hang out with bums. You are not a bum. You're a successful individual, and I want everybody to know that you're a successful individual.
I don't think I look like one.
Yeah, kind of, but that's not the point. You know what I mean?
I know he looks like that, but he's not. He's actually not a bum. He's actually famous.
Yeah. He has some sort of status and value to bring to the world.
Oh my God. What if I'm just a good human being? I'm just fun to be around.
This is our relationship, people.
Okay. Great. Here's what I also feel when people overhype themselves and they don't do it tactfully. What I'm sensing, and this is based on my experience with past relationships that I've had, is that there's some people that when I collaborate with them, they take all the credit. They take all the credit. And a friend of mine, he recently divorced his business partner.
Love that. Never heard it said like that.
Yeah, but it is like a divorce because you know, and he lost custody. So
it's so dramatic.
The
but I love
business is all
the
other
baby.
guys.
The business is the baby. Okay.
He was the sales guy, and he was the guy who was like, let's just get more clients. Like we can help them. And he was like, and he was the one who built the business, who built the product, who served the clients. And he's like, no, we can't deliver the results for this person. Don't enroll them, right? And he would take all the credit as well. And he was always like hard negotiating with him on like, oh, I should get paid more. I should, you know. And
your friend was in the wrong, or the other guy?
The other guy. And my friend now quit. And he was like, he's also now very allergic to people who are like overselling themselves because it reminds me of that guy. It reminds him of that guy. And I have that too. If I meet someone and they're humble and nice and I look into their stuff and they're like, holy shit, they built something really amazing here. I'm like, my respect for them doesn't just go up to the level of what their accomplishments are, but even way more because they didn't talk about it at all. Or if someone else tells me like, do you actually know what this guy does? I think that's where if your outcome is to like increase credibility, it's something you should try out.
What do you mean credibility in terms of like
let's say you go to an event and you want to be like, hey, I want the the most successful people to connect with me, and I want them to see me as an authority in the industry or whatever. I want them to have the maximum amount of respect for me. Let's say that was the outcome. I think that, and no, I'm not even saying that this is why I do it, but I think it has that effect. That if you just go the humble way, and then people hear about it afterwards, it means way more.
But then there's also like the backside of that where it's just like maybe they'll never hear about it. Yeah. And I think it's like, how do you put yourself in a place where there's a chance that somebody might hear about it? I think that's the part that's missing. And I think this is why, like, even though you don't start off with just complete arrogance, you have to give something to show, like, dude, this is gonna, I'm like outing everything. So, I'm watching out what to say, because everybody that's me is like, oh, he's super calculated in how he approaches. Yeah, but the reality is,
what I find so beautiful about you is that you don't gatekeep.
That's cute. That was really cute.
So continue.
Good job. I have 2 watches. I think we've talked about this.
Mm-hmm. You've told me many times.
Yes. I'm kidding. But I wear different watches for different events. So if I'm going to be at an event with 8-figure earners, I'm going to wear this watch, specific watch. I'm not going to name the watch. Mm. But if I'm going to go to a 7-figure event, I'm going to wear this other watch. Mm. And the reason for that is because...
And when I'm hanging out with Leon, I can just be myself, and I can just watch an Apple Watch, and he's going to love me.
Exactly.
Are you doing okay financially, by the way?
What?
Are you doing okay financially? Just checking in.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just have a feeling.
It's honestly the watches, and it got to me. So I was like, you know what?
Yeah, something about you looks broke.
I'm wearing sweatpants, my socks. If you guys want to see my socks, you know what I mean, and a hoodie. Anything else?
Yeah, no, that's great.
Got it. And the reason why I wear those watches is so I don't have to say a word, and if they see it, they can immediately know where I stand. And I do that specifically, and it's funny because I went to this wedding a month ago, and I wore my 8-figure watch, and the guy next to me, I think he sold like a company for like, I think $30 million. He literally he found me in the event. He came to me just to have a conversation about the watch, and we ended up building a really good connection. And I have to say a word. But the reality is that watch said everything he needed to know about me. You know? And I was just being humble and quiet, but I wasn't.
I should get an Apple Watch that just has my subscribers.
Yes.
And I'm just like...
I'm glad out of this whole story, this is what you got.
Hey.
Yeah.
I do nothing. A few people watch my videos. What time is it? Oh, 740,000 subscribers.
Wow. O'clock.
Time for me to go.
Yeah. Dude, I you know what? I hate you.
No, I see the benefit of it,
the
and
subtleties.
It's not me.
I know it's not, but it's like
me.
you should be like, bro.
I remember you saying this, and I think it's spot on too. Watch out for the guy in a hoodie. If everyone's fancy dressed up, the guy in the hoodie oftentimes is the big guy.
That is true. Now, how do you do both? How does the guy in the hoodie wear a nice watch, stay silent, and get it done? I'm telling you, it's an art. I think how I've developed it, I think I'm just gonna do what I want. I support it.
Yeah.
I'll promote the
I
podcast.
really believe that humility, short term, Elon Musk is someone who takes a ton of credit for everything he does. Like, he's the genius behind, he's the genius, he's done everything. And he's like, even if you read his biography, there are many times where people said, hey, I'm actually the CEO, I'm on the company, and he was not on the magazine, whatever, and he was like furious. And he was like, I should be the CEO, I should be on the company, I should be on the magazine. And he really cared about that. And I think short term, it really supports you. Who knows, maybe even long term, but I think he lost a lot of great people along the way. And like, same thing with my friend who divorced his business partner. That business partner messed up so badly losing him. And it's because short term, he wanted better results. He wanted to take more credit. He wanted to, and I just think humility is so important. I saw this tweet from, I think Sam Parr from My First Million podcast. He was tweeting that a lot of people that he knows that were, that are successful in his circle right now, one thing they all have in common is that super humble. And even the ones where he thought maybe they'll never make it, they made it eventually. It just takes time. And I think, man, once you build that, like, I think it's just a slower approach that gets you much further. Long term. I've lost so much respect for people who are really good at selling themselves, because with time, I just got disappointed.
Okay.
Like, I really did. And I was like, I never want to collaborate with this person ever again, because when I collaborate with them and we go to an event or we, go on this project, it's like they're really good at getting their piece of the pie. And I'm like, I don't like that. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel fair, because I'm going to look at, okay, what's actually fair.
I agree. I think there's a level of selling yourself, but I think there also has to be integrity attached to it, where it's like, I've had a lot, and I'll be honest with you, everything I'm saying to you right now, I also am very like closed off when I see somebody coming at me with the same energy that I'm coming at people, because I'm just like, I want to see, can you actually back what you're saying? Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, when push comes to shove, I can't tell you how many salespeople have sold me into the process, and then I watch their actions, and their actions don't back up what they're saying. The things just don't make sense. And I think that's when the problem really kind of arises for me, where it's like, for me, I give people the quote unquote benefit of the doubt, but I never genuinely like trust their word until I see them actually prove. Like, you've made the money, all right, cool. Let me see your car. Let me see where you live. And if you haven't, beautiful. Let me see your company. You make this much money, all right. Let me see your employees. You have a lot of employees. Let's talk. It's kind of what we talked about when I get into business. Everybody's saying, "Oh, I made $700,000 a month." Then I get into the business. That was only 1 month they ever did that.
Yeah, it's always just 1 month.
Yeah, and then they just
always
hold
just
on
revenue.
to it. So like I definitely agree, because I think me and you are very, very similar in that aspect, where it's like we're very skeptical. We talked about this yesterday. Me and you are very, very skeptical, and we're like, talk is cheap, but it's like, can you back it up when it actually like matters?
Yeah.
I think the other thing I want to talk about, like the humility thing, where you were talking about how like selling yourself. Do you think that correlates to later on also bringing the people around you down, because you're always making it about you?
I go out of my way to hype up my friends, and when it's someone who takes credit, they jump on that ship and they're like, yeah, and then they don't do it back to me, and it's like, all right, I'm never going to do that again.
Okay, so why do we get along?
Huh?
Why do we get along?
You hype your friends up. You hype me up in ways that I don't want to, but at least it's entertaining you. But you do.
I think with us, I will say the worst things to your face, and I will say the best things behind your back. Yes. But I will never let you know that I said the best things behind your back, because I'm like, no, he's a horrible person.
Yeah.
You should not talk to him. He's the worst person I've ever seen. Yeah. But I think that's like, I think even in friendship, I think that should also come in business, where it's like, you should really hype up your team, genuinely. And I think like
Elon Musk doesn't do that. Like, I've never heard him say, we have an incredible team at Neuralink, the best of the best people. Without them, I couldn't have done it.
Well, I heard a lot of people hate working for him.
Yeah.
I have a couple people.
Somebody said this. Some other like tech billionaire said this. If you go to Mark Zuckerberg's employees, like the people who work for him, like love working for him. People who don't work for him anymore, like love working for him. And I would totally work with him again. Same thing with like Richard Branson and other like Steve Jobs. With Elon Musk, the people who said, I love working with him, I used to work with him, never again. They say never again, right? And man, I mean, it is a talent war. It is the most important resource in any business. It's the people.
It's good. This was an interesting topic. I was expecting this one to come up.
Yeah.
I want to hear people's take on how should Leon pitch himself to people. Put that in the comments.
Yeah, let us know about what your thoughts is about humility versus like promoting yourself, and where's the line. Guru of the week, you definitely know him. This is a really funny clip. Eckhart Tolle, I think
I love him. I can't really say anything. Dude, I love him. I can't talk shit.
Sure. I mean, here's the thing. I want to make this clear. Guru of the week is not exposing people, making fun of them or whatever, talking shit. Yeah. It's like, no, some of the people are legit. A lot of them are. Like he has a lot of like funny moments. So Eckhart Tolle is the presence guy. He's enlightened. Yeah, a lot of people say that he's not, but I think he's reached a level of enlightenment that's admirable.
I think that's what I think he's definitely further than most. But I think enlightenment is a very, like, whenever somebody comes to like, oh yeah, I'm enlightened, it triggers the fuck out of
Well, he doesn't even say it.
Exactly.
I'm saying it.
That's
But
right.
again, like humility, like how should he introduce himself? Hey, I'm Eckhart Tolle, I'm enlightened.
See? It just that's extreme. That's like, hey, my name is Leon Hendricks. I have 1 million subscribers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, hey, I've trained Tony Robbins sales team. No, I dabble into spiritual work.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, how spiritual? I'm like,
I'm
enlightened.
enlightenment.
I'm enlightened.
Buddha would consider me a friend.
Yes.
I was walking not long ago on my daily walk.
I may have to speed this up, honestly.
Dude,
but
he sounds like my grandpa. I love
this is
it.
literally he's at his events
Yeah.
like that, right? And sometimes it's just funny moments, and he's just like sitting in presence, and it's just a bit awkward.
On a forest trail, and a couple were coming in the opposite direction, a young man and his girlfriend, wife. And as they were walking past me, he stopped and said, I know you from somewhere. Where do I know you from? What's your name? I said, Eckhart. Oh, yes, YouTube. I'm watching you on YouTube all the time. And then he said to his girlfriend, he's a famous YouTuber.
Oh god,
It's cute and wholesome.
It is, and he's actually funny. So his events are literally just him sitting down and talking about the power of presence. Don't think about the past. The future is just a construct of your mind. This is just the ego mind. You're just living in your head. And so in his book, he talks about how he got enlightened. And it was this moment where he was like under intense stress and he was very unhappy. And he was in a public bathroom somewhere. And he said in his mind, I can't live with myself anymore. And then it was like, wait, I can't live with myself. So there's two of me. And then it just clicked, and then he's just like, everything's made up. And then he's just present. That was his moment.
I thought he was on the park bench.
And then after that, he sat down on the park bench, just in complete bliss, watching everyone. Probably the way he's sitting here, right? And the way he sat down on the park bench was probably this way.
Conscious sitting down.
That's just sitting down as a bench.
Dude, you know what I
Conscious
love?
podcasting.
Dude.
Can you imagine him as in a podcast, just like...
It'd be a long podcast.
He's just present.
Presence.
What were you gonna say?
Dude, can we talk about like the Austin spiritual coaches? All right. Oh my God. I hate them. Dude, for the love of God, if somebody comes to me and says namaste one more time and them being white, it blows my mind. I'm just like,
What if they're black?
Still, I want them to be Indian.
It has to be the right shade.
Yes, dude, something, bro. Because, dude,
What if I said it,
I would laugh.
but I'm not white?
You're right.
I'm pink.
We talked about this.
Yeah, I told you I was gonna use that joke.
Leon is not white. Leon's pink.
It works.
Dude.
It actually works.
You know what? I think there's spiritual identity and there's true spirituality. All right? And what I mean by that is whenever somebody thinks of spiritual identity, they think of this image of namaste.
Yeah. It's an identity. It's an image. It's the ego.
It's whatever they think is perceived to be enlightened. But then if you look at the most enlightened people, they're just cracking jokes the whole time. The Dalai Lama, him, Alan Watts. You know what I mean? And I wouldn't consider Alan Watts, but like they're always making jokes. They're always having fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'm just like, that's enlightenment. Enlightenment's play. Enlightenment is like being in a place and being like, yo, I'm so happy to be alive and just good. What are you gonna show me?
Dalai Lama kills a mosquito. It's just such a good title.
Watch it.
Does this reverence for all living things mean that I shouldn't have hit that mosquito that just bit me here? No, I'm serious about that. What is there a danger of excess in this? A lot of people say, well, you who care about the environment are going to extremes.
Usually, practice is something like this. One mosquito come. Then if my mood is something quite happy, then I usually give some blood, to the mosquito. Then second time come, then more impatience. So sometimes I do like this, blow out. Then third come, then sometimes.
3 strikes and you're out, as we say.
He's open,
That's wholesome, right?
but there's still some level of pain. He's gonna flick it off. That mosquito's gonna feel some pain, but he can own it. He's not gonna sit there and be like, yeah, I'm gonna protect this thing and like take it in and just support it. You know what videos this reminds me of? You know when like somebody gets bit by a mosquito and then they like grab it and they put it in like a fire or something to make it suffer like it made them suffer? Have you ever seen like, dude, I saw this video once where literally this man gave the mosquito the most like torturous death I've ever seen in my entire life. It like pissed him off all night long, so he literally found it and like got it with a cup and literally tortured this mosquito. And I'm like, wow, this is extreme. This is not.
Do you think mosquitoes feel a lot of pain?
They don't have souls.
How do you know that?
I just the shit they do.
Oh,
I support the torture. I support it.
I was thinking about that. Isn't the level of pain you can experience in direct correlation with the complexity of your nervous system?
Don't know.
So an elephant might feel a lot more pain because he's very big. Like if an elephant gets pierced in the stomach, it's much less than a mosquito. But maybe it's relative. Maybe because the mosquito has a little brain, and it's like it's a big signal for that little brain.
Who knows?
There's so many topics we could get into. But I love this clip. So for those of you just listening, he's just sitting down, getting ready for the audience. He has a mic in front of him, and the mic is a little bit loose. So he's just vibing with the mic, and it comes down.
He's a child.
Peak comedy.
Not supposed to speak.
That's it. I would like to go to one of his events. I think it'd be super boring. I want to double speed it the whole time, like.
Yeah, but it'll just be, we're waiting for these moments.
Yeah. Yes.
Dude, I think this is beautiful. I think this is the perfect example of what enlightenment looks like. You know what I mean? Not at the level, but like it's something where it's just like he doesn't own it. He doesn't care. He doesn't care if you think he's smart or not. He doesn't care if you think you're spiritual or not. He's just being, and he's enjoying the moment. And I think that's why I get so triggered when people come to me and they read one book and they come to me and they say they're enlightened. I'm like, yo, shut the hell up.
Yeah, it's the ego, but they don't know. They don't know.
My response is, if you saw somebody getting something in front of you, if you saw your sister getting hurt in front of you, would you forgive that person? And if you say no, then you're not enlightened. I think enlightenment is true detachment from the source. I mean, not true detachment from the source. I think true detachment from expectation and attachment.
And desire.
Desire.
Yeah.
I think that's when you can say you're really enlightened. Like you can literally look at that person, just hurt your family, hurt somebody you love, and forgive them.
And it's also not apathy.
Yeah.
So it's like that weird other thing. It's weird that we have this human condition. And my theory, I've shared it before in videos, but I think there's a reason why we have an ego, and it's because we needed it to evolve. And it's part of evolution. You know when fish evolved from, sea creatures to walking on land? They basically developed legs out of their fins, right? But then while they had legs, they still had these like weird fins on the back, right? And there must have been that awkward period in between where they had shitty legs and like shitty fins, like it didn't perfectly work, right? And I think maybe that's what humans are going through right now and for the next thousands or tens of thousands of years, where we have this mind, survival mind, that we needed in order to be aware of whether we still fit into the tribe. Like, hey, does Sally and Jeff, do they hate me? And are they going to expel me from the tribe? Like I need to make sure that I'm putting on a certain mask. I'm very aware. I'm afraid of death so that I survive. And we don't have that anymore. Like technically, there should be no fear of anything. Like you could be disliked by anyone in theory, and you can still go to the grocery store, buy your food, and have shelter and survive. So we don't need it anymore. We don't need love and affection anymore. Like that's just a sign of we're gonna survive because we're with our tribe. And I think it's that in between phase that we're in.
That's interesting. I've never heard of it that way. I actually really like that perspective.
I told that to Brian Johnson when I was at his place when we shot the video together, and I don't know if it really clicked for him, but I think it's, and I trademarked it already. And when I talked about it on my video, it's the fish with weird legs theory.
That's very honestly, all jokes aside, that's actually very profound.
I think so too.
Yeah. No, I support it. Like I'll tell you when something you say is dumb, but I'll be like, yo, that was actually
yeah,
because we are going through that phase where I feel like we're breaking free from like our physical world to now we're getting to our spiritual world. We're tapping into like it's kind of like the last podcast or 2 podcasts ago when we talked about the death and the experience, where it's like we're starting to realize there's more to us than just our physical presence. And I think this is kind of like us. Once we get our physical presence, that's when we find our legs. And right now we're like developing our legs,
and we're shedding our fins, which is the ego. Yeah, and I think that's kind of like
that was pretty profound. I like that. I actually like that.
Nice.
I might steal that and tell people about that and tell people I created that.
There it is again. I need to hype myself up more. Stop being so humble.
You're not gonna tell people. So
this is honestly what happens sometimes. Like people are like, yeah, I'm making these like videos that are like really like I make it like this, and I'm like, yeah, I taught you how to do that, and that was like I did that 3 years ago. And then they like try to like teach me, and I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, anyways.
People tell me when people tell me like, oh, like I mean, yeah, I'm on a podcast right now. Like, well, why isn't your face on it? Because I'm not worthy enough.
You're not worthy enough. Nobody cares about you.
So I own it. See, look at that. My face. Even Wes Walker made it.
Wes Watson,
whatever his name is, made it. Made the cut. I didn't even make the cut. That's wild. Guys, let's boycott this podcast until he puts my face on one of the thumbnails. Even if it's a little on the very bottom. It's just like, that's me. There it is.
It's just like on the left side.
That would be so bad. I would hate that, dude, honestly. That would be such a horrible joke where it's just like right next to your neck, there's like a little picture of my head, and it's just horrible.
You could be my little birthmark on my chin.
I would hate that. It would be hilarious, but I would hate everything about that.
You look like a birthmark.
I would hate everything about that. So now, who's the arrogant one now? I'm humble. Guys, you see this? You see the level of humility I have to deal with?
I'm teaching you.
I'm humble.
Great. Thanks for watching. See you in the next episode.
Later, y'all.